All right, 4T's Production, Teaching Teens to Think is one such solution. Whereas we specifically address the disconnect between school and academic work problem by inspiring students and youth to complete their education, establish a career, and start a business. Let me repeat that. We are in business to inspire you to get your education, establish a career, and start a business. We are here to inspire you to use the dysfunctional educational system to your advantage. In other words, to level the playing field. A lot of you young people don't have people who are willing to invest in you or provide that guidance for you. That's coming to a change, and we're one example of that. This event is an example of that. This event is called the Meet the Professionals Discussion Panel. It's one example of how we as 4Ts are changing the downward path today's students and youth are currently on. For further information on how we do this, please check out our website at 4ts.org. A lot of you young people into Facebook, check us out on Facebook by pulling up Teaching Teens to Think. We're also on Twitter, 4T's Production, so I think you'll find that very informative. And we're going to mark aggressive approaches to get this information out to you more aggressively. Okay, now on to joining us in discussion are professionals and entrepreneurs who are successful products of the inner city community. They are from the very same communities that contain these so-called dropout factories. And they are here to share with us their experience along with the tools and strategies they use to succeed in spite of the negative statistics, challenges, and obstacles that I just presented. Their information is also available by speaking with them at the end of this event. And these young ladies that I'm going to bring to you today are some serious women. I'm surprised they're even hanging out with me. So please join me in welcoming Yasmeen Hayes Coffin. Round of applause. She has gained significant operational and strategic development experience throughout her career working at investment banks including J.P. Morgan Chase,
Thank you.
Bear Stearns & Co., UBS, in addition to other investment management firms in the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast regions. In 2009, after deciding to leave Wall Street, Yasmeen began to turn her focus toward her passion for supporting business professionals, small companies, and startups seeking to realize their potential and reach success in their respective industries. In her role as a consultant, she has crafted a career working with startups and small companies that she believes approach the marketplace with a different kind of DNA. Her role in various organizations have included creating strategies, implementing efficiency, operational procedures, and simply helping amplify the voice of small companies thriving for market share. Yasmeen also volunteers a significant portion of her time and experience to organizations focused on youth enrichment. Yasmeen received her Master's of Arts degree in International Affairs from the New School University in New York, New York, and her Bachelor's of Science degree in Business Administration from Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee. She lives in Harlem with her husband and 2 sons. Please just give Yasmeen another round of applause. The next young lady I have coming up is the name of Lanier Logan. Yes, give her a round of applause. Thank you. Lanier is a serial entrepreneur, young mogul. She is an innovative business strategist. She is a creative visionary, business powerhouse, publicist, editor-in-chief, teacher, author, and highly sought after business coach and startup maven. As CEO of Madison Shalice PR firm, I'm not sure if I spelled that correct, okay, has consulted and mentored hundreds of businesses across New York City over the last 5 years. Since the launch of Young Mogul Life magazine in early 2013, this fearless entrepreneur has expanded her portfolio by teaching startups business plan writing, public relations for small business, effective networking, email, and social media marketing course for Project Enterprise, and life skills through Newark Jobs Connect in Newark, New Jersey. Her passion for business and teaching prompted her to start Young Mogul Inc. in late 2013, a nonprofit geared towards New York City students and adults who want to increase their earning potential through entrepreneurship and professional development courses. The magazine provides inspiring stories of other successful female entrepreneurs, business resources, and valuable tips nationally, while YM Inc. facilitates entrepreneurial comprehensive workshops and intensive mastermind boot camps. This young mogul is on a mission to assist 100 women launch their businesses through Pound 100 Startups Initiative by December 1st, 2014. In other words, or let me put it this way, in her words, Ms. Lanier states, depending on our environment, growing up where we are taught to subconsciously conform to the standards of society, and in doing so, many of us become lost in repetition. Most will spend the bulk of their lives existing, while some take the brave step of stepping out of the norm and learn to live on purpose. Her goal, as she said, quoting her, my goal is to empower women to find their passion so they can spend the rest of their lives passionately living and loving life on purpose. This is Lanier Logan. Please just give her a round of applause. Okay, a lot of you here, you know how we do. We're going to get to the question portion of the event so you can learn a lot more about these young ladies. Again, thank you for coming out. I really appreciate you taking the time out. And please feel free to share and answer questions as you see fit. Okay. The first question for you, Yasmeen. What specific challenges and or obstacles did you experience in high school, and how did you overcome them?
Okay. First, hello everyone. Hello. Anyone can see me? Right? Okay. A specific challenge, I would probably say, was that not realizing my value and my worth, and thinking that the things that I was doing and I was accomplishing, everyone could do. And I think what I most want to get to across to the students here is to realize that, you know what, there's power in yourself. There's power within you. And you have to continuously remind yourself and realize that the things that you do is what makes you unique. The talents that you have is what makes you unique. There may be someone else who can do the same thing, but they cannot do it the way that you do it. And just because you are the age that you're at doesn't necessarily mean that you're less valuable in your talents and your aspirations and your dreams. Just keep doing what you're doing and ask a lot of questions. And I think that's, for me, that's whether you're in high school, whether you're in college, whether you're mid-college, whatever it is, you always have to ask a lot of questions until you understand what's going on.
All right, I want to follow up to that question, and then I'm going to go right to you. Don't worry, this is for you.
I'm trying to catch up with you.
In those specific challenges, who or what were the people or things in high school or in college that inspired you to want to graduate?
Well, let me just say that, and my mom probably will kill me that I'm telling you this, and that this is going to be on YouTube, but I had a crazy mother. She did not play with me. She did not play with my brother. And as a teen, you think your parents are the worst, and they don't understand, and they don't know. And I thought the same thing, and you kind of isolate yourself from your parents. And I can say rightfully so in some cases, and that because you're trying to find yourself, and you're trying to figure out who you are. I was blessed enough to not only not realizing it, but my mother was my mentor. My mom was the person that I looked up to. My mother was the person that I tried to emulate, not unknowing to me. I said I wasn't like my mother, and I didn't want to be like her. But I think at high school, even though I kind of felt like I didn't want to move myself from her as much as possible, I think she was the most one person in my life that I absolutely, looked up to and helped me through the whole process of going through high school. And the other fact is, I knew I had to go to high school, finish high school, because I wanted to go to college. So it wasn't a choice. I had to.
I'm coming to you, Lanier. Hold on. The final question in that whole series, because I know you covered high school and college in that.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Was how has a diploma from high school and a degree from college helped you in life, or has it helped you in life?
I think any type of learning is going to help you in life. It teaches you to think. It brings you in contact with a group of people that you may not have, on normal circumstances, would not necessarily interact with. So I think as far as high school, having a high school diploma helped me go to college. Having a college degree opened up doors that I could not have imagined. And I think also with kids in general, and you're a student, so there's so many opportunities that you have available to you just by the sheer fact that you are a high school student. You say you're a student, people will offer you programs and opportunities that they would not normally offer someone who isn't a student or isn't in high school or isn't in college. So, use that to your advantage. It's a learning. You have a wealth of knowledge that's in front of you, and I definitely say use it to your advantage.
Lanier, you're the mogul. So I'm not even going to step-by-step the questions with you. I'm just going to ask all three of them. What challenges and obstacles did you face in high school, college? How did you overcome them? And who inspired you to, complete your education and that whole thing? So what's your take on?
Well, good evening, everyone. I think that this is kind of the perfect panel because I defied all the rules. So I didn't graduate from high school. I didn't graduate from high school because, one, education wasn't the foundation of my household. So I do wish I had that crazy mother or father who was kind of like, there's no other option. Like, you need to go to school today and you need to pass your classes, you need to graduate. That wasn't the focus of my household for different reasons, and I'm older, so I don't blame my parents, Like, I'm here where I am for a reason, to be a testimony to other people. But in high school, I felt completely lost because I wouldn't go to classes. Well, first of all, when I would go to class, things would just be like going over my head. Like, I would not go to class, but yet I can come into class and take a test and pass. So my teachers knew, like, okay, this kid is bright, but she's somehow not being challenged. And unfortunately, I went to Kennedy High School, which is now closed down. It was a school, 8 floors with 8,000 students from 9th grade to 12th grade. You can immediately get lost. The classes are overwhelmed. At the time, I didn't realize that I actually was kind of special. I learned differently. So I didn't have a learning disability, but there are different learning styles that not a lot of teachers know how to teach to. So if you have a teacher who's teaching to a class of 30 students and only 7 get it, guess what? The rest is going to be left out because she needs to make sure these 7 get it. That's unfair to the rest of the kids because we need to learn the same thing. So the way I learned was completely different from other people, but at the time, I didn't understand that, so I thought it was something wrong with me. So because I didn't have parents who were kind of on top of me about school, and I was a little slick, a little beyond my time, so, getting into trouble, making program cards and report cards and kind of turning it in. They weren't completely oblivious to what was going on, but I was able to kind of make things happen. But, when I was supposed to graduate and I'm not graduating, and they're like, what do you mean you're going to prom and you're not graduating? Like, I had a lot to explain and to do. But that's because as parents, they weren't on top of me the way they were supposed to be. So I shouldn't have been able to get through that for 4 years. That's one. So not knowing who I was and really communicating with teachers and other people to say that, okay, I don't understand this or I don't get this, right? Sometimes as kids, you feel uncomfortable when you say you don't know something in class because you always have somebody who says, oh, you're an idiot, or no, it's not that you're an idiot. There's no dumb question, right? Being dumb is not asking at all. So, that was my challenge, trying to fit in, thinking that there was something wrong with me and it really wasn't. I didn't get a college degree until I was already an entrepreneur. So for me at 33, having a 3-year-old daughter, it was very important for me to go to college because that was a personal goal opposed to a professional one. So by the time I was 19 years old and my friends are in college and they're in the military, I had my first job, $50,000 a year at Philip Morris, 120 Park Avenue. It was the way I walked in with confidence. I wasn't okay with not having a degree, but I didn't let that settle. So I didn't stay in that place of comfort, like, oh, let me go apply to McDonald's. And I'm not putting those jobs down, but I didn't sit and say to myself, well, you didn't graduate, so you should just stay in these type of places who will accept you. There was something in me that just always wanted more. I didn't really have anyone to inspire me, who was immediately around me. What I loved to watch was A Different World, oddly. I wanted to go to college so bad because I wanted that experience. Even the movie School Days, like, we weren't really supposed to be looking at that when we was kids. But when I got older and I watched it, it was like this college experience, right? All of these intelligent young black people in one place. Like, where is this place? I need to be there, right? That was me. I'd never been comfortable with being like everyone else. So there was a part of me that was okay with being odd. Like, I've never been a follower. All of my friends, I love them hands down. I don't think that they follow me. We're all individuals. But if I don't want to do something, I'm not doing it. If it doesn't work for me, I'm not doing it. Even when I was younger. When I got in trouble, it was because of things that I wanted to do. It wasn't because someone else told me to do it and I was following. Right? So I feel like I'm digressing a little bit. But
It's all right.
So there was no one immediately around me who inspired me. I always read. Reading is really important. It doesn't matter where you are, it will change your world. You don't have to have the money to go to London, but you can read geography, you can read books about traveling to all of these different places. It will expand your knowledge. You guys are in a very important time in your lives because social media is the information source. There's everything that you can learn right there for free. So there's no more excuses of parents not being able to afford all of these things. If you want iPads, I need you to put it to use. I should see maps apps downloaded. I should see different language apps downloaded. You guys are in a great position because you're able to create your own opportunities and to create your own jobs. So it's really important, and there's no excuse for you not to know something because the information is right at your fingertips.
Thank you, Lanier. All right, that does it for our panel discussion. Thank you. Thank you for coming out. Let's get to, all right, Yasmeen, I kind of got your support system. I want to leave this question open to any of you who want to answer. Did you have a support system as you were going through and pursuing your education? Was it family, friends, mentors? Who helped you complete that journey or that part of your life? Was there anyone that served as a support system for you to carry you through? That's an open question, so whoever wants to answer.
Okay. I guess my friends were always successful. So what I noticed in terms of, I didn't have the best relationship with my mom. We never were really close. But all my closest friends were extremely close with their moms. And their moms were really supportive. So in that, I learned how to be a young lady in a lot of ways. And how to have goals. So while my friends were in the military, while my friends were going off to college, a part of me wanted to keep up with them. It was important. I didn't want to be, okay, I'm here, but I'm going to show you I'm smart, I'm doing something, so you're at college, I got a $50,000 job, right? That was important. It was something to brag about, but I felt like I was being a part of the in crowd. My in crowd always had to be successful, right? That was important for me. So my friends were a reflection of where I wanted to be, but for a lot of time, I didn't think that I had it in me to be that. Right? So I guess that was what inspired me.
All right. Yasmeen, I know it's unfair because I know we spoke about this already, but everyone would like to know, what specific challenges and or obstacles did you face in your career? and how did you overcome them? So please share that with us.
In my career, well, and I've told the story. When I was 6 years old, I said I wanted to work for Wall Street. I watched a movie. I saw people in heels and skirts and clicking down the street and making all this money, and that's what I wanted to do. My mom was a teacher, and I wanted to move the furthest away from that profession that I could possibly move. And I said, you know what? I'm going to find the Wall Street job. I'm going to work 60, 70, 80 hours a week. I'm going to, order takeout while I'm at my computer desk. I'm going to take car services home. That was what I wanted to do. I was going to get the bonuses. And I realized as soon as I started that I didn't want to do it anymore. In fact, I actually knew it before I even started my career that I didn't want to do it. But I was the type of person that if I said I was going to do it, I'm going to do it. And I told everyone this is what I was going to do, and everyone's so proud of me. So I think the challenge I had was, one, living up to other people's expectations. Two, realizing that, you know what, if it's not a right fit for me, I can change. And three, figuring out, okay, now what am I going to do? So I think I had 3 challenges in that, and it kind of went in that order. Just what was I going to do, and how was I going to change it?
Wow. Okay. How has that experience in your career helped you, or not helped you in life?
I think that for me, a lot of things have happened in order for me to get to this point. I got married. I had children. So I think for me, children really actually kind of gives you a very different perspective on your life and what's important and what's not important. And I realized that the working the crazy, insane hours and even though the money was really good, was not, and me being away from my children, was not the type of life that I wanted. And I realized that I wanted something different. So I hope I answered that.
Hey, that's real. Okay, Miss Mogul. I say that because who or what inspired you to start your business? Or all of them, or one of them, or got you on that path? What inspired
Every
you?
supervisor I had that tried to stunt my growth. So while I may have this fabulous life right now, it's not that fabulous. I'm working hard, but I'm just doing what I want to do. I always had supervisors who I could do their job, and I always ended up training them. And I couldn't get that position in certain companies that I went to because I didn't have that piece of paper. For a long time, I would refer to it as a piece of paper because that was a defense mechanism for me to say it's not even that important. But it really is, right? There's some fundamental tools that you get from college, and your source of independence and the connections and the relationships that you build, you really find out who you are. Because everything that your parents and your family has instilled in you growing up, you're on your own. And you figure out how to put those things into play, and you start to make your own decisions. And that affected my career from the time I was 19 to 24. Because I ended up bouncing from job to job because it just wasn't working for me. I would always get frustrated. I needed to be challenged. I wasn't challenged. I would get to a supervisor who realized my potential because I didn't realize it. They saw it, so they were intimidated by it. So it would be a constant conflict. Well, I think you should do it like this, and I think, it was just miserable after a while. And it was just kind of like, I'm not going to do this. And I clearly wanted to be a millionaire. I always say I'm going to be a millionaire by 21. And then when 21 came and I was not a millionaire, I was like, so we're going to push that back to 25. And then when 25 came, I was just kind of like, well, what am I waiting for? I also had breast cancer at 23, 24. So that changed my life completely because I didn't feel like I was going to make it to my 25th birthday. So once I made it to my 25th birthday, my friends and I went to Vegas, and I was like, you know what? From this day forward, I'm going to get it. I didn't have anything to lose. I didn't have a child at that point, and I just felt like I need to do everything that I want to do because I'm not promised tomorrow. That whole year was like a reflective year. Like, I could not make it. You know, like, there's so many other people who are doing great things, and I'm like in this place, and I'm miserable, and I'm not happy. And if I go tomorrow, like, what do I have to say for all my life? I've been on my own since 19. What did I accomplish? If people come to my funeral, what are they going to say? What are they going to say? I made them laugh, or I'm a good friend to talk to? Like, for me, I wanted to be important. Like, I wanted to be able to say when I walked away, like, there's something, a piece of me somewhere that I created that people are benefiting from, even far after me. So that was, like, really important.
Wow. Okay, so with that, how has that whole experience, what you went through, which inspired you to start your business, how has that changed your life? Or has it?
It's definitely changed my life. I'm not afraid anymore. Like, entrepreneurship is, like, really rough because you have to stumble, you have to struggle. Like, I was homeless for 6 weeks with my daughter at 18 months. Like, you really struggle. But I love that struggle because it taught me that I'm resilient. And it made me think on my feet, and it made me get creative, and it made me stop living in this place of comfort as if everything is always going to be okay, right? Sometimes we get into these positions and we make a whole lot of money, like she was saying, and we get all comfortable and we forget life is really happening. And then something comes and just knocks you down, and then you realize, well, I'm not as stable as I thought I was. Maybe I should have worked on plan B and C anyway, just in case. So I definitely feel more confident in who I am as a woman. I know at 33 years old, I know exactly who I am. I know exactly where I'm going, and I know that having a 3-year-old daughter, she's watching me. So if I walk around insecure and I walk around feeling like I can't do this or I'm unsure, she's going to learn those behaviors, and the devil is a liar. She's not going to. She's going to high school. She's going to college. She's going. She don't have a choice. Like, it's not a matter in this situation. She's going. I don't care how much money I have, what we own, she's going. She does not have a choice. And she's 3 and she understands that. So that's important, like, for me.
See, I'm going to move on. I'm just going to keep going. All right, now, we finished the questions pretty much from my base or my peer group. Now I want to proceed into questions submitted from youth online. Who submitted it to 4T's website. So please feel free in answering these questions. This young person asks, was there, well, I think we kind of already answered that, but I want to specifically ask this to you, Yasmeen, in particular, because I know you mentioned your mom, so I want to, if anything, reinforce it if there was anyone else. Was there a specific role model that influenced the path of your life you've chosen in reference to your career path?
Was there a specific person?
Specific person, thing, place, was there anything that inspired that career path?
Well, I think that once I kind of decided the career path that I wanted to do, I actively went out and searched for people to help me with that, because and like Lanier, I was actually in high school kind of the oddball person, and in that I went to school, but still didn't feel like I belonged, and still felt lost in class. And a lot of things where what my friends were doing and concerned with, I was not concerned with, because my thing was, look, I got to get to college. That was my goal, and I can be free to say this. I hated school. I did not want to be there. I did the basic, the least amount of work that I could possibly do to pass. Luckily for me, I actually was pretty smart, so I was actually able to get pretty good grades and do that. And I found a lot of resource in my extracurricular activities. So I had several mentors who actually worked for like Lehman Brothers and CS First Boston and a bunch of Wall Street firms. So I kind of got the inside scoop on it before even starting the career, going to college or starting. So I think that's what really helped me, finding and seeking out people who were already in that career. And strategically, like, I had a diary, I wrote every day. I had my folders and books and notes that I was taking. So I strategically put myself in a position and places where I could meet and come in contact with people who would help me further in my path.
That's a part of networking, why networking is so important in your circles. Lanier, another youth asked a question, and I'll phrase it this way. She asked specifically this question. She says, do any of the panelists have any regrets based on their career paths? We already know the career paths. So I want to ask this question to you, Lanier, and specifically to your companies as an entrepreneur. Do you have any regrets? Well, I know you started your company, so that's your passion, what have you, but were there any regrets that, you have along the way that you should have did this better, or you could have saved time here or there, or something like that?
Honestly, I think a regret was just not finishing high school, and even when I didn't finish high school and I enrolled in college, but kind of like sticking with it at 19, because it became a personal goal. At 29, I'm going to college and I'm missing different events, networking events at night, because I need to get to class and I need to get these papers done. And all of this time I feel like, okay, you're only working on a bachelor's, for crying out loud. Your friends are walking around with masters and PhDs. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're wasting time. So that's frustrating for me in itself, because I could have did this already. While it is, I don't need it, I do need it. It's just a personal goal for me, and I feel like for me to do it and actually complete it, it will do something different to me. What it will do, I don't know. But I just feel like that's just important, so.
Okay. The next question this youth has is, and she phrased it this way, did any of the panelists had to make a difficult, I guess, she says career choice? And if so, how did you handle it? I guess career choice or a life choice. I guess you can flip it that way. If you had to make a difficult career choice or life choice, how did you handle it, Yasmeen?
Okay, difficult career or life choice. I'd probably say deciding whether or not I was going to go back into Wall Street and working for financial firms. I basically just kind of weighed the pros and cons and the risks, and kind of reevaluated what was important for me, and that helped to make the decision. I've come to the conclusion that anything that you want to do, have a passion for, have a dream for, it's probably going to be the scariest thing in the world. That's how you know that it is is something that you really want to do, because it's probably going to test every fiber of your being. It's probably going to bring out all the hidden, deep, dark fears. It's probably going to be the one that you have the most opposition from or about. That's how you know that it's difficult. And if you still feel the same way about whatever you decide that you want to do, then you know that it's something that you're on the right path. But it's not, whatever you want to do, and especially if it's something that you really want to do, it's never going to be easy. Don't ever think it's going to be easy. Don't ever think it's going to go right, because it's not. There's going to be so many things that's going to go wrong, but you just have to keep trekking and building a support system of people who are going to help you, because you're not going to always make the right decisions. So you also need people who are going to support you and be able to say, you know what, you're doing it this way, but you may want to consider X, Y, and Z. Look at all the possibilities of how to make something happen.
Thank you, Yasmeen. All right, Lanier.
The most difficult
question.
business choices probably have come recently, because I have a 3-year-old daughter. It's always like, do I take this gig on the weekend? Sometimes my days run really long. So am I saying yes to too many things? leaving the house at 6 in the morning. Like, as an entrepreneur, you have your own schedule. But I'm not single anymore. I have a small child. So sometimes I'm out of the house by 6 a.m. and I'm coming home at 11:30. She's sleeping. And then, when I finally see her, have a conversation with her, it may be Saturday, Sunday, and that's not enough time with her, So probably the most difficult choices for me is like, okay, I'm doing what I love, but how do I find balance? And that's why it's really important. Like, she did something that was so important about like friendships, right? Like right now you think that your friends are your everything. They're your besties. You have to talk about nothing 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. You can talk about everything, right? But it's so important to have different friends in different sectors. Because if you take a look at your immediate 4 friends, how productive they are in school, their aspirations, 9 times out of 10, if they don't meet yours, people will pull you down faster than you can pull them up to where you are. So it's really important that you understand that it's okay to venture off and have friends. You guys may have the same goals in mind, but how you're willing to obtain them is completely different and go about them. So, really, regrets is probably just trying to figure out balance and saying no. Sometimes saying no is okay. It's a good thing.
That's a big lesson for a lot of people to learn. I want to gear off track. Before I answer the next question, I'm going to get a little personal here. So it's not going to be too personal. But both of you have children. Yasmeen, you have 2 sons. Lanier, you have a daughter. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that they have taught you? One main thing, I know they probably taught you a lot, but can you please share one main thing or one thing that stands out now that they have taught you? Yasmeen, your 2 boys, and then Lanier, your daughter. Sorry for
what
the
have they
surprise.
taught? What have they taught me? I'd probably say they've actually taught me to follow my dreams. They have. My son, I'm always teaching him, and well, the other thing is that just because you're smart doesn't mean you don't have to work. And I tell my son that all the time. My son is, I think every parent thinks their kids are amazing, and rightfully so, and they should. My son is extremely intelligent, and I tell him all the time, you have to work. And I think what he does is now looks at me, and I think I did something, and he was just like, you know what, Mom? You have to work. And I said, you know what? You're right. I have to work. Just because I'm smart doesn't mean that I don't have challenges. It doesn't mean that I don't fall and scrape my knee. It doesn't mean anything. And when I do, it has no, it's no indication of the person that I am. But I do have to realize that you have to, if you want something, you have to work for it. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Lanier?
It's true. Kids are just something else. Like, they teach you little lessons that you don't expect to have. So I know Madison, she's taught me to like love and love myself, but also like believe in myself. So, growing up, that I wasn't really told how attractive I was or how smart I was, or you can do anything you want to do. So a lot of times throughout my career, I would always second guess and doubt myself. Even making money and running a business and meeting people and people being so inspired by me, and I'm looking at them like they're crazy. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I just did this. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's going over my head because I'm not really valuing or realizing the value that I actually bring to the table. And there was one day that we were actually going out somewhere, and I was contemplating on whether or not I wanted to start the magazine. And I literally, my daughter woke up that morning and she saw me kind of like praying. I was like, God, give me a sign, because if you don't want me to do this, then I won't. And as we're walking out the door 4 hours later, she's 3 years old. Sometimes I feel like who is this kid? I'm like walking out the door and she could see my head, because I'm like deep in thought. Like, I'm just like, can I handle anything else financially? Can I do this? Like, this is, and she's like, Mom, you could do anything you want to do. You're special. I just, like, out of nowhere, like, we're walking out the door. She just finished asking me for a Lunchable. So how did we get to this conversation? And I just kind of looked back at her and I was like, you know what, Madison, you're right. And she was just smiling. And I'm just like, obviously that was like a confirmation from God. So I'm grateful for her. Like, I've been able to live again. I definitely feel like she saved my life being here, because I'm more conscious of the things that I want to do that I'm not doing, because I need to do them more so for her than me.
Beautiful. I guess that leads to the next question you've asked is, what or who fuels your success to achieve your goals? Now, I know, Lanier, you was talking about the challenges on the job and people not knowing what they're doing, and Yasmeen as well with the challenges on the job. But it was just Wall Street, and that's not what you want to do. Is there, or maybe, you answered the question already, or do you want to add more to that question? Whereas, what or who fuels your success to achieve your goals?
Now, I would say the word no. Or you can't do that. So I do public relations and event planning, and sometimes now that I'm like teaching more and I'm talking about business, especially finances, I always encounter men. And I always encounter, and this didn't happen with us, but I always encounter the one guy who has like the masters and Ivy League education, and he's gonna tell me something. And, well, you don't know what you're talking about, or you, like, they kind of talk to you in this condescending way, and it's just so hilarious that I find that as a challenge, because you're not going to tell me what I can't do. Nobody's going to tell me what I can't do. And I pick my battles wisely. So if I don't really know what I'm talking about, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm going to sit back, I'm going to let you have that one, and I'm going to go on my phone, because it's a smartphone, we're going to Google, and we're going to double check. And I'm going to sit back quietly, and then I'm going to come back like, oh, so you said so-and-so? Because that's not true. And then I'm going to challenge you. So, like, the word no, I always find that I can challenge it and do something right. Because we don't do everything perfect, and we don't do everything right all the time. But if I can get you to change that no to a yes, like, that's a challenge for me. But if you tell me I can't do something, it's war. Because I'm going to do it. I don't care if it's a year from now. I don't care if it's I'm going to do it, and I'm going to come back to you, and you're going to know I did.
How, and I would love to get some of those questions back there from some of the people there. How can we better, this is her asking, I think, how can we better influence our youths of tomorrow to have a holistic approach of life? She puts in parentheses, reference to balancing career, success, and family. Should I? Yeah, I'll read that again. I guess she's asking,
That's from the youth?
Yeah.
And they're asking, how do we balance?
Yeah. The key words are holistic approach to life, and holistic can be, I guess, defined as finding that balance between your career, success, and family.
Okay. I mean, I think any time you're asking how can you, I guess, for someone,
Yeah.
the simplest thing is ask them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Ask them. Don't always, I think oftentimes in society we're so concerned with knowing and being in the position of already knowing, we forget a lot of times to ask people. Ask people what they want. Ask people what they need. And then come up with a plan to meet those needs and those wants.
That's good.
I would say your mindset is crucial. So you need to know like what you want. Now, while I think it's awesome when I listen to women or my colleagues say, I knew I wanted to do this, right? Because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I think that it's great that she knew that. But for someone like me, I didn't know what it was that I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to be successful, right? So having the mindset of not being a quitter, or I'm enough, or I can do this. I think that that's really important. Your mindset is so important that even when you asked us a question about balance, like I would love to ask her that question because I don't have a husband and I need one. So, no, I don't need one. I would like to have one. But, right? So I'm still working on balance because I need to I still need me time. I still need mommy time. And if you're going to add someone else to the equation, you need to have time for them. And I need to have time for my professional life. So I think that that's something that as women, we all struggle, because someone told us that we're supposed to be the wives and the homemakers and the cooks and the mommies, and we don't need to do all of these other things. So I don't think that if that's something, an answer that you're looking for, you're not going to get that in one specific place, because it has to work for you. And if you know who you are and your mindset is clear, whatever husband you're going to have, he's going to fit into that equation, and it's going to work for you.
Wow, that's good. She follows that question up with the same thing, but I want to key in on the last part of that, where she says, what advice could you give? She said, it says, if so, what advice can you give us so we can be a better man, woman, to have ultimate success? So I guess she's tying in holistic approach to ultimate success. So what is your term of ultimate success, I guess? Have you reached that plateau, or are you still reaching it? And if so, what advice can you give to I guess, reach that?
Yeah. And then I know you can follow. I think that there's no such thing as ultimate success. If you're ultimately successful, you're dead. So I think that with each success that you meet, you're going to find something else that you can be equally successful with. So I don't ever think that you ultimately reach your successfulness until you've passed.
I would say that success is something different for everyone, right? So, again, that question, who am I, right? What do I want? Sometimes the things that we think we want and we get it, like she wanted to work on Wall Street, it wasn't for her. So you kind of need to know you. So having a goal list is important, because if you have a list of goals that you want to accomplish, that's going to lead you to what you think this big thing is of ultimate success. Once you keep accomplishing those goals, you'll see how you feel. Things change. We change, especially women, we change.
Yes.
Some things doesn't work for us anymore. We definitely change, and your goal changes and the vision changes. So I would say that whoever you are, whatever it is that you want to do, there are famous people who have done it already. I encourage you to read books, read about them, right? Go online, read books, read Steve Jobs, read like different books in different industries about successful people who have done different things, because that's going to help you, because you're going to learn different things from everywhere. You can learn from anyone, and it'll just kind of help you go along the way to figure out if these goals are really yours. But I don't necessarily think that there's ultimate success.
Does anyone have any questions for our panelists?
My question is, how do you stop the outside problems interfere with your daily interactions? Like, because I know for me, trying to be a young entrepreneur, well, not trying to be, I am a young entrepreneur. I find myself encountering even more problems now than I was without me even trying. So how do you stop that?
You're not going to be able to stop it. It's part of life. But I would say that what at least has worked for me is taking it step by step. Being excited about the many goals that you've met, and just taking and making a list and saying, you know what, today I'm going to accomplish X, Y, and Z. Or, you know what, today I'm going to accomplish X, and being happy with that, and realizing that the problems are always going to be there, but just kind of taking it and saying, you know what, regardless of whatever the problem is, I'm going to at least get this accomplished, because you'll find that the noise from the problems are not going to be as loud once you start accomplishing what you set out to do. It's overwhelming. You can't do it all, not in one day. There's no way.
You just know that everything that you're doing in the 8th grade is crucial to becoming a scientist later on. So had someone told me that my grades in kindergarten and 5th grade were going to be as important as high school, maybe I would have did a little better, because they all line up, especially when you want to become an attorney. or a doctor, like they go all the way back to grade school. So I think that you should take that very seriously. If you want to be a scientist, that means science. You should try to join any clubs at school, take the initiative if they haven't started any. You should talk to your teachers about starting a science club. Math is really important. Sometimes we hate math, but that's really important. I would say that get involved, right? Start going to different museums that offer science. There are all sorts of programs in New York City that are catered and geared towards science and math, right? Because as United States, we're behind with our kids. So that's really important, and I applaud you for that. And it's not going to be easy, it's going to be difficult, but if you remember that the things that you want to accomplish in life, it's always difficult in the beginning. It'll be easier later when you're like chilling on a beach somewhere because you already put in the hard work. But you have to put the hard work in first. There's no negotiating there.
I'd say, and even though you're in 8th grade, it's never too young to find people who are in the profession. Ask questions. You have your teachers, you have your parents, there's so many, and I can't emphasize enough, at this age and at this juncture, there is so much wealth of knowledge and so many people who are willing to help you. And the reason why they're willing to help you is because they understand the value of the opportunities that they had at that age that they were not able to take advantage of. So take advantage of it. You want to be a scientist? Talk to your teacher. We have, the luxury of the internet now. Find organizations. There's for example, National Black Society of Engineers. Maybe they can help you with that. But be resourceful in your search. And as you're talking and finding mentors, come up with 3 pertinent questions that you have about the science field. Because the other thing is, you may want to be a scientist, and you may decide, you know what, I don't want to be a scientist. I want to be something else. But use this opportunity to find mentors and organizations and outlets that will allow you to learn more about the field.
Having a business plan, right? The one-page business plan, it was created by Andrew Morrison. I think it's great in getting you to start thinking about what it is you want to do. There's so many things and aspects of starting a business that sometimes people want to start business because they want to be rich. But in order for you to be rich, you have to put in a whole lot of work. So while you may be working 80 hours a week for an employer, but as an entrepreneur, you could be working 80 to 100 hours a week for yourself, right? Because you're going to be the one to benefit. So I would say first, ask yourself, why do you want to do this? And be honest with yourself, because you are the one who's going to invest the time. I would also start thinking about what it is you want to do. And start looking at, so what business do you want to open? I'm sorry?
Food business, cooking, baking.
Great. So that means that from this moment on, every day, until you launch that business, you need to start paying attention to every restaurant, every place that sells food. Those are your competitors. From the corner store that sells the sandwiches and the breakfast foods, from the restaurants that you go in and you sit down, to the chicken spot, to larger chains like McDonald's, to Red Lobsters. Those are your competitors because you would be the small brand. So how do you compete with those individuals? You need to start tasting food. You need to start really paying attention to what you're eating. I know sometimes we're hungry. Mom cooks good. We just start scarfing things down, right? But if you are going into the restaurant business, you need to know what makes sense. What don't you like? Most of the things that you don't like, especially when you're starting a business, is how you start the business, because you're solving a problem. You're solving a problem and you're filling a void of something that you feel is missing. Right? So sometimes you want to start that business, maybe you want to offer a specific type of food that you love, but you're not the only person who loves that food. So now you need to find out how many other places in your city, from Manhattan to Brooklyn to Bronx, New York City, how many other places are serving the same type of food that you want to serve? Start looking at menus. It's never too early to start. Look at menus. Start thinking about what you want to offer. Start looking at prices. The library, Fifth Avenue, Sybil, the Science and Business Library, that is my favorite place to go. You meet so many different professionals and entrepreneurs, and it's a business library, and you receive so many resources for startups and workshops. You're never too young to go in and do that. So I would say you should start from there.
And just to follow up with what, once you decide, okay, you do your business plan, do a focus group. I think oftentimes entrepreneurs, and I'll say I've fallen into this, come up with these great ideas, and they're great ideas, but if no one wants them, you're not going to make any money. So you need to actually have a series of focus groups, meaning having people come in and say, and having a series of questions and asking them, well, what do you think about this? Do you like this product? I guess it's also known as product testing. But you really have to be very clear and have concrete information on whether or not this business is going to be a success. Starting a business has a host of challenges. You don't want one challenge to be that you don't have a market for what you're trying to build.
Wow. There you go. No other questions? Oh, we have, oh, let's go.
I wanted to ask you about I want to start my own magazine. I want to know how do I get clients in my magazine for a reasonable price?
So, what kind of magazine? Online or print?
I would say both.
I would say, so what's your goal for it? Like, what's your budget?
Right now, $1,000.
Right. So then you should start with a blog online. Take advantage of being online because print is very expensive. And while a lot of publishing companies are closing down because people are not buying as much magazines as they once were, you can have something much cheaper online. The thing with online is you have to be consistent and you have to know who your target market is. And you have to build up a following of people coming to your website. So who is your target market? What would the magazine be about?
I would say unsigned artists.
So it's music, right? So first, I'm sorry. So first there are a lot of other magazines that are focused on unsigned artists. So you need to figure out what's going to be special about your magazine and why I, as the unsigned artist, is going to come to your magazine.
To that point, Lanier, I don't mean to cut you off, but it's getting late. We got to end this, but please continue this conversation with Lanier. I'm sure you're available to answer those questions, go offline. I want to end this by now incorporating your final words of inspiration to those who were here, and then we'll wrap up. Please, Yasmeen.
Okay. My final word of inspiration is that anything that's worth having is worth working for. And just because you're finding difficulties in accomplishing your goal, it doesn't mean that it's not something that it's not attainable. It is. And nothing happens overnight.
I would say you need to believe in yourself. It's probably the most important thing. And you need to follow through and be consistent. And don't be afraid of your vision, because sometimes our visions are so huge, and as we go to accomplish them, we realize, oh my goodness, this is going to take a lot more work. How am I going to do this? But try not to think about how am I going to do it, just think about just actually doing it. And you'll notice that you'll start to chip away at that goal. And it's okay if you're afraid of your vision in some sense. It's okay, but don't let that deter you from doing it, right? Because you can't make excuses and make money. It's just impossible. It doesn't matter what you're doing.
It's an oxymoron, two opposites. Thank you so much for coming out. I appreciate you. I hope you got a lot from this information. Please, just give our panelists one final round of applause.